Hi friends, myself K. Lakshmi, Assistant Professor in the Department of SNH, Chebrolu Engineering College, Class 19, Topic Weiss Molecular Field Theory. In this class, I would like to discuss about Weiss Molecular Field Theory of ferromagnetic materials. It is also named as spontaneous magnetization in ferromagnetic materials. This theory was developed by Weiss. So according to Weiss, he explained about the spontaneous magnetization character of ferromagnetic materials. So what is a spontaneous magnetization? In ferromagnetic materials, generally there exist already domains without external magnetic field. That means without external magnetic field, already they have domains, but they move in different directions. So due to moving of different directions, the net dipole momentum in ferromagnetic materials is zero. So whenever we apply some external magnetic field, then all the dipoles are aligned to the field direction. Now just remove the external field direction, but still the domains are aligned to the same field direction. That means even though removing of external magnetic field, still all the domains are aligned into same direction. So that phenomena is called spontaneous magnetization. So this type of character only ferromagnetic materials are exhibiting. So this interaction produces an internal molecular field. That means due to spontaneous magnetization character, ferromagnetic materials are exhibiting an internal molecular field. So that is indicated by the letter Hi. Due to this internal field, the spins are aligned into the parallel to the field. Now the internal molecular field is always proportional to the magnetization. So here the internal molecular field is indicated by the letter Hi and the magnetization is indicated by the letter M. So to remove the proportionality, here there is a constant gamma, where gamma is called Weiss constant. Now what is the total field? That is named as effective field, or it is written as H effective. So H effective is equal to the sum of the external field and to the internal molecular field. Here it is the applied field H and Hi is the internal molecular field. So the total effective field is equal to the sum of the applied field and to the internal molecular field. So here by substituting Hi formula as gamma m, now H effective is equal to the H plus gamma m. Let it be equation 1, where H is applied field and gamma is called molecular field constant, or it is also known as Weiss constant. Now according to Weiss theory of ferromagnetic substance, the susceptibility is equal to formula magnetization by magnetic field intensity. According to Curie's law, susceptibility having another formula, that is C by D. C by T means here C is Curie's constant and T is temperature. That means susceptibility has two formulas. One is M by H and another one is C by T. Here C is Curie's constant and T is temperature. Now for ferromagnetic substances, H is replaced by H effective. That means susceptibility M by H effective. Therefore, susceptibility is equal to M by, as we in the previous equation 1, H effective is equal to formula H plus M gamma. So, by simply equating the susceptibility to C by T here, by cross multiplication Mt is equal to Hc plus gamma Cm. So here M is magnetization, T is temperature, H is magnetic field intensity, C is Curie constant, and gamma is called Wies constant or molecular field constant. So here by common the M, then we get the value M into T minus gamma C is equal to Hc. From this formula, here M by H is equal to C by T minus theta. Here theta means just theta is equal to gamma C. Let us assume theta is equal to gamma C. Then finally we got the formula M by H is equal to C by T minus theta. Here in the above equation, theta is equal to gamma C. It is clear that whenever magnetization tends to infinity at theta is equal to T, that means simply by substituting here, this is the magnetization M by H is equal to C by T minus theta. Here substitute T value as a theta. So theta minus theta 0, something by 0, that is infinity. So as theta is equal to capital T, the magnetization becomes to infinity. That means the interaction of the individual magnetic moments reinforce each other and they causing them to align parallel. Now at T is equal to theta, where C is called Curie constant and theta is Curie temperature of the ferromagnetic material. This relation is called Curie's-Weiss law. That means it behaves like a ferromagnet. That means here in this equation we have three conditions. One is T is equal to theta, another one is T less than theta and T greater than theta. That means as the temperature less than theta, that means these materials are behave like a ferromagnetic materials. As the T greater than theta, the materials are behave like a paramagnetic material. That means here it is a Curie temperature. So the ferromagnetic material nature will be changes depending upon the temperature. So this type of law is called Curie's-Weiss law. So this is called Curie's-Weiss law. Now domain hypothesis. Domain hypothesis was first proposed by Weiss. So he explained about the ferromagnetic behavior of ferromagnetic materials. According to him, a single crystal of ferromagnetic solid is a compresses of large number of small regions. Each region is a spontaneously magnetized. That means each region consisting of a number of dipoles. Then each region has a different direction. That means each domain has different direction. So simply the region is spontaneously magnetized to saturation extent is called domain. Now, so this is the domains. So whenever we have to take a material, here these are the small regions. So the arrow marks in the figure represents the dipoles. So already we discussed the what is meant by dipole. Dipole means two equal and opposite charges separated by a fixed distance. Here each and every atom is behave like a dipole because in an atom negative charge and positive charge is there. That means nucleus is positive charge and electron having negative charge. So these positive center of gravity and negative center of gravity are separated by a fixed distance. Then each and every atom is behave like a dipole. Now a group of dipoles are in a small regions, all the dipoles are aligned into same direction. When you observe this diagram, here different regions are there. Each region consisting of number of dipoles. When you observe that each region dipole direction is different from remaining the region's direction. So due to that region, the net dipole momentum, that means domains are randomly oriented. So the net dipole momentum or net magnetic momentum of the magnetic material is 0. Whenever these material is placed into the magnetic field, the material get magnetized. That means here these regions called domains, every domain possesses definite value and definite direction, and the ranging from domains is between 10 power minus 9 to 10 power 9 meter cube, and they contains nearly 1017 to 1021 atoms, and whose magnetic axes are aligned in the same direction, even in the absence of a magnetic field. So in the absence of external magnetic field, the magnetic momentum of the vectors is randomly oriented, so the net magnetic momentum is 0. When a magnetic field is applied to the domains, all the domains are rotated and they make into align their magnetic momentum with the field direction. So the specimen exhibits a net magnetization. Here, what is the process when a material is placed in a magnetic field? Here there are two processes are formed. So one is due to displacement of boundaries of the domains, and another one is due to rotation of the domains. So here, to convert the magnetic material into, that means a ferromagnetic material into a magnet, here there is a process. That process is two process. One is due to displacement of boundaries of the domains, and another one is due to rotation of the domains. Domain which are oriented in the direction of the magnetic field is increases in volume at the cost of those that are unfavorable oriented. And similarly, the rotation application of higher magnetic field rotates partially the domains in the direction of magnetism field. This results further increasing in magnetic field. So This is the a picture explains the how the boundaries are moved and rotation of the domains. So when you observe the figure 1, this is initial position. Here there are 4 types of domain regions. When you observe the dipoles, all the dipoles are aligned in different direction. So the net dipole momentum, the net magnetic momentum in this case is 0. So that's why here H value is equal to 0. Then what about the next figure? Here there is some change in region. So here, due to change in boundary directions, automatically the domains also a little bit change their direction. So in this case, whatever the magnetic field inside the material is not equal to 0, but it has some magnetic field. And the next diagram, here domains also change their direction and boundaries also change their direction. So the magnetic field intensity is large. That means by continuous movement of domain regions and domain direction changes, then the entire ferromagnetic material is converted into all the domains are aligned to the field direction. So that is the process here in a ferromagnetic material, how it changes their directions by applying external magnetic field. So hysteresis loop, here this is a very important concept. Generally this hysteresis loop is only exhibited by ferromagnetic materials. The magnetization loop is called as the hysteresis loop. When a magnetic material is subjected to one cycle of magnetization, the BH curve forms a closed loop. That means it is a graph we have to drawn between magnetic field intensity and to the magnetic flux density, or it may be also drawn between magnetization and magnetic field intensity. So here the hysteresis means lagging. So the lagging of intensity of magnetization behind the intensity of magnetic field. So that will be explained in terms of it will be shown with the help of a graph. When you observe the graph, it look like a closed loop. So that's why it is explained by the scientist hysteresis. So it is named as hysteresis loop. When the temperature is less than ferromagnetic Curie temperature, hysteresis is exhibited. That means the temperature is compulsory less than the Curie temperature, then only ferromagnetic materials are exhibiting this hysteresis loop. Now this is the hysteresis loop. Now here along the x-axis we have to take H value, magnetizing force. Along y-axis we have to take flux density. It is indicated by the letter capital B. Now step 1, that means initially the ferromagnetic material is at origin. That means it kept at position O. So the external magnetic field strength is also 0. So corresponding magnetic flux density is also 0. Now by increasing the external magnetic field, that is magnetizing force, then the magnetic flux density starts to increasing rapidly. Now it reach a point, that is a saturation point. That means here all the domains are aligned into same direction. Actually, at the origin, in ferromagnetic materials, the dipoles or the domains are move in a random direction. Whenever we apply external magnetic field, the domains in the ferromagnetic material are starts to reoriented to the field direction. So due to that reason, the magnetic field intensity or the flux density inside the material is gradually increases. That means as the dipoles are gradually oriented to the field direction, so it reaches at a position B maximum, that is a saturation position. That means at this point all the domains are aligned to the field direction. Even though we giving some external magnetic field, still domains cannot change their direction. That means they are at a saturation position. So this is the second step. Now the third step, just remove the external magnetic field. That means the magnetic field intensity is 0. Now what about flux density in that case? It is a very important point. Whenever we remove the external magnetic field, then automatically all the domains are move in random direction, in irregular direction. But in ferromagnetic materials, when the dipoles are reached at a saturation point, when we remove the external magnetic field, but still domains are aligned into the field direction. That means the magnetic flux density does not becomes to 0. It has some value. That means even though external magnetic field is removing, but still it has some magnetic flux density. That means the magnetic flux density of the material does not equal to 0. It decreases and it comes to some point, that is it cannot complete demagnetization. Just its magnetic flux density decreases. So this point is called retentivity. This point is called retentivity. That means even though stopping the magnetic field, they cannot be demagnetization. They have some residual magnetism is present in this position. This residual mechanism is the base nature of the material, that is in ferromagnetic material. So this property of the material is called retentivity. Once again I repeat, here this is the starting position. So at this position the external magnetic field is 0, automatically flux density in that material is 0. As we increasing the external magnetic field, that means domains are gradually aligned into the field direction. That means gradually flux density is increases and reaches a point, that means a maximum flux density position, that is the saturation position. So in this point all the domains are aligned to the field direction. Now just remove the external magnetic field. That means H becomes to 0, but magnetic flux density does not becomes to 0. It decreases and reach a point. That point is called retentivity. So here in this point, the material having some residual mechanism, that means it has some residual magnetism character. So this type of nature exhibit materials are named as retentivity, and the materials exhibiting this property are named as ferromagnetic materials. Now again apply the magnetic field but in opposite direction. So here it is in opposite direction. So now what happened, the domains in the material, whenever we are applying opposite magnetic field, then there is a lot of disturbance is created in the domains. That means all the domains are moved in different directions. So due to that, the magnetic flux density becomes to 0. That means when we apply opposite magnetic field intensity, then the magnetic flux density, whatever the residual magnetism is there at the point B, it becomes to 0. Why? Because here we are applying external magnetic field but in opposite direction. That means this applying of opposite magnetic field, here a coercive force is developed. That's why this point is named as coercivity. This point is named as coercivity. Now by increasing the opposite magnetic field, again all the domains are aligned to this magnetic field direction. That means opposite direction of the field. So again this is also reach a saturation position. So this is named as B maximum, but it is in opposite direction. That's why here we use minus B. Now again stop the external magnetic field. That means the H value is 0, but the magnetic flux density is not equal to 0. It reaches, that means it decreases some intensity and reach at a point, that is BR. So here it is also the same like a case in retentivity in positive direction. Again here repeated. Now here again apply opposite magnetic field in this case. So it reaches a position 0, that is D. Now give the opposite magnetic field is increases, again it reaches to a saturation. That means a closed loop is formed between magnetic field intensity and to the magnetic flux density. That means it is a complete cycle. If the magnetism is carried through the energy wasted is proportional to the area of the hysteresis loop, and shape of the hysteresis loop depends on the nature of the ferromagnetic materials. So basing on the area of hysteresis loop, again materials are classified into two types that will be discussed in the next class. So This is the hysteresis loop, which is when a magnetic material is subjected to one cycle of magnetization. The BH curve forms a closed loop. This loop is called hysteresis loop. Now it will be explained clearly again here. Consider a unmagnetized ferromagnetic substance, let it be iron bar, is placed in a magnetizing field. When the bar is slowly magnetized, then the intensity of magnetization I also varying. When the substance is slowly magnetized, the magnetic induction B also increases non-linearly along the curve OACD, which is called magnetization curve. Here it is OACD. OACD is called magnetization curve. Now at point E, almost all the magnetic domains are aligned parallel to the field. An additional increasing in H but does not produces an increase in B, that is a saturation position. Now H is decreased, that means simply remove the H, that is a magnetic field, but B does not reduces to 0. It lost some alignment. It reaches to, that means still it has some magnetic flux intensity inside the material. So that residual field is called retentivity. Now to bring back the magnetization 0, here we apply magnetic field but in reverse direction. Whenever H is reverse, then the magnetic flux density reaches to a corrosive field, that is it reaches from retentivity to corrosivity property. Now again increase the opposite external magnetic field. Here it reaches to a saturation position. Now again stop the external magnetic field. It reaches to a retentive position. Now after a cycle of magnetization, there is some energy is lost. This loss of energy is radiated in the form of heat energy. Basing on loss of energy, we can define the sum of the materials like soft and hard magnetic materials, and the loss of energy is always proportional to the area of the loop. From the hysteresis loop, a number of primary magnetic properties of a material can be determined, that is like retentivity, corrosivity, like that. Let us discuss about the retentivity. Retentivity means a measure of residual flux density corresponding to the saturation induction of magnetic materials. In other words, it is a material's ability to retain certain amount of residual magnetic field when the magnetizing force is removed after achieving saturation. So that is the definition of retentivity. And next concept is residual flux. The magnetic flux density that remains in a material when the magnetizing force is 0. That means even though external magnetic field is removing, still it has some magnetic flux density. Note that residual magnetism and retentivity are the same when the material has been magnetized to the saturation point. However, the level of residual magnetism may be lower than retentivity value when the magnetizing force did not reach the saturation level. Corrosive force, the amount of reverse magnetic field which must be applied to a magnetic material to make the magnetic flux return to zero. And next, permeability. It is a property of material that describes ease with which a magnetic flux is established in the component. And reluctance is the opposition that a ferromagnetic material shows the establishment of magnetic field. Simply it is an analogous to the resistance in an electric circuit. So here there is another point is also there, that is hysteresis loss. For a complete cycle, if the magnetism is carried through A, then the energy is wasted, and this energy is proportional to the area of the hysteresis loop and shape of the hysteresis loop, and depends upon the nature of the ferromagnetic material also. Now the hysteresis loss is equal to the energy consumed in magnetizing and demagnetizing a magnetic material. Now hysteresis loop is proportional to the area enclosed in the hysteresis loop, frequency of the magnetic flux reversal, and volume of the magnetic material. So this is a brief explanation about the Weiss theory of ferromagnetism, domain theory of ferromagnetism, and hysteresis curve for ferromagnetic material. Thank you.